a matter of time, bro. That Caitlin Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlin Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people thinking Caitlin Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. Told y'all about a week ago, Caitlin Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury. And
reports have emerged suggesting a tense confrontation occurred between Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White during their recent matchup against the Atlanta Dream. The alleged incident took place as both parties headed toward the locker room at halftime, though no video evidence has surfaced to confirm these claims. Social media platforms have been buzzing with speculation about the nature of this reported exchange. Various fan accounts on Twitter have shared details about what they witnessed, though these remain unverified. One particular post gaining traction suggests that Clark expressed frustration with certain teammates' ball movement, specifically mentioning concerns about players not distributing the basketball effectively.
And sure enough, this is the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury, bro. Stephanie White is the culprit. And at the end of the day, I'm not even blaming Stephanie White anymore because the front office has to get held accountable. Yeah, I know Caitlin Clark plays a certain type of way. You want to build a team around your superstar player. That is not the case for this team. This front office solely, to me, only care about the regiment of their team.
The speculation centers around Clark's apparent dissatisfaction with the team's offensive approach. Sources indicate she may have voiced concerns about Kelsey Mitchell and other players failing to create opportunities for teammates through passing. This alleged criticism reportedly occurred after Clark completed a pass to a teammate who subsequently failed to capitalize on the scoring opportunity. Fan reactions on social media have been mixed regarding the team's performance and internal dynamics. Some observers noted instances where Clark appeared to receive limited touches during crucial moments of the game. Others pointed to specific plays where teammates seemed hesitant to involve her in the offensive flow.
Care about the regiment of their team. They don't really seem like they want to build around Caitlin for whatever reason. And at the end of the day, I don't know why this is happening, but it is, man. It is. And it's just unfortunate, man. But let's dive into this tweet. This tweet said Caitlin Clark and Coach Stephanie White were having a heated discussion heading into the locker room at halftime.
A resurfaced video has also drawn attention, showing team members discussing emergency contacts during what appears to be a casual team activity. The footage reveals several players naming various teammates as their preferred emergency contacts, but notably, Clark's name is absent from most responses. This has led to further speculation about team chemistry and relationships within the locker room. The video shows different players responding to questions about whom they would contact in emergency situations. While some players mention teammates like AB, KK, and Breezy, Clark's name rarely comes up in these discussions. When Clark herself is asked the same question, she provides a diplomatic response stating she would trust everyone on the team before eventually narrowing down her choice.
One fan, this right here said, he said, word on the street is CC told Stephanie White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. CC went to tie her shoe after passing to Howard on a play. LOL. Let's check out what this is. Don't say this is, this isn't fact. This is just people talking on Twitter. One person said, say what you want without Mitchell. The Fever lost this game. No, they did not lose. What was Kelsey?
Current performance metrics show Clark struggling with her shooting efficiency, posting numbers significantly below her usual standards. Recent games have seen her convert shots at a much lower percentage than expected, leading to questions about her role within the team's offensive system. The coaching staff's implementation of a motion offense has drawn criticism from various quarters, with some arguing that this system doesn't maximize Clark's unique skill set. Critics suggest that the current offensive scheme prevents her from establishing the rhythm necessary for peak performance.
They did not lose. What was Kelsey Mitchell doing walking off the court when Ari was triple teamed and almost lost the ball? So people is definitely seeing some stuff, man. And somebody actually sent me this video as well. If I can get it pulled up here. of this team. It's a so this is a video here that has resurfaced, and people is basically saying that they don't care about.
Team management decisions have also come under scrutiny, with questions raised about whether the organization is truly committed to building around their star player. The front office's approach to roster construction and strategic planning has been called into question by those who believe Clark deserves a system tailored to her strengths. Following the game, Clark addressed media members about the team's second-half performance. She emphasized the improved pace of play and ball movement that characterized their offensive output after intermission. The team managed to score 99 points total, with 59 coming in the second half alone, marking one of their most productive offensive displays in recent memory.
Care about Caitlin. Let's watch this real quick. I have not seen this. Let's watch this.
Well, emergency is important. I mean, it's like my lifeline. I gotta say, Sydney Carlson or Leah Boston.
I need to make sure we can go in there.
I feel like AB. I feel like she'd always answer the phone.
Probably Bree Turner or Kelsey. If I can't pick myself. Emergency contact. I'm gonna have 3. I'll say AB.
Clark praised teammate Sophie's contribution, highlighting her energy and rebounding efforts. She noted that Sophie had been experiencing shooting difficulties but maintained consistent effort and attitude throughout the struggles. The double-double performance was particularly meaningful given the team's need for secondary scoring options. The defensive improvements were also mentioned as a key factor in the team's success. Clark emphasized how both ends of the floor contributed to their ability to establish momentum and maintain it throughout the second half. She described the performance as representative of how the team should approach every game moving forward.
AB, KK, and I'll say Breezy.
My emergency contact will either be Breezy or Lex. One of the two.
Probably Kelsey. She's always on her phone.
Now at this point, they're not saying Caitlin damn name, bro. For whatever reason. Now I'm just saying I have not seen this video, but ain't nobody say Caitlin name, bro.
She'd answer.
Tosh or AB? Good question.
Questions about team chemistry continue to circulate among fans and analysts. The combination of on-court struggles, alleged sideline confrontations, and social media speculation has created an atmosphere of uncertainty around the franchise. Team member Kelly Kristoff recently deactivated her social media accounts, adding another layer to the ongoing discussions about internal dynamics. This move has been interpreted by some as evidence of underlying tensions within the organization.
Good question. I'm trying to think like who would answer their phone. I would trust basically everyone. Honestly, probably.
Now, Caitlin gives a smart answer. Caitlin says she's going to trust everyone, but she obviously she got to narrow it down to a person. But this is interesting, guys. This is interesting.
Leah. This team.
Wow.
The team currently sits at a .500 record with 10 wins and 10 losses, representing a modest improvement from earlier in the season. However, individual performance concerns, particularly regarding Clark's shooting struggles, continue to overshadow team achievements. Performance analysis shows Clark averaging significantly fewer minutes and lower shooting percentages compared to her previous standards. The 26 minutes of playing time suggests she isn't operating under minute restrictions, making her decreased production more concerning for supporters.
It's like in games where it goes bad, we'll talk about the negatives. But we're going to talk a little bit about how the Atlanta Dream were able to really neutralize Caitlin Clark in the first half. And I know Caitlin Clark had 5 first half assists, but they were able to neutralize Caitlin Clark's impact on the game in that first half. And in the second half, regardless of the box score numbers, how Caitlin completely took over. So the big way they were able to neutralize Caitlin Clark, and I think it was almost an issue with
statistical breakdowns reveal shooting numbers that fall well below Clark's established capabilities. Recent games have shown conversion rates that don't reflect her typical accuracy, contributing to questions about her confidence and comfort within the current system. The motion offense implementation has been particularly controversial, with many arguing that it fails to create the isolation opportunities that allow Clark to excel. Critics suggest that this systematic approach reduces her ability to create individual scoring chances and establish offensive offensive rhythm.
As Caitlin Clark, and I think it was almost an issue with Stephanie White as much as anything, is they were manhandling her. They were manhandling Caitlin Clark early in that game. Like, they had two hands on her. They were fully getting into the we are grabbing her and we don't really care. Like, that was their goal. Their goal was they were out there to maul Caitlin Clark. They had they had absolutely no intention of doing anything other than mauling Caitlin Clark. Like, they were not.
Coaching decisions regarding rotation patterns and play calling have also drawn attention. The distribution of touches and shot attempts has become a focal point for those analyzing the team's offensive efficiency and player utilization. Fan sentiment remains divided between those celebrating team victories and those concerned about individual player development. The tension between team success and star player optimization continues to generate debate across various platforms and discussion forums. Media coverage has intensified around these reported incidents, with various outlets attempting to verify claims and gather additional information. The lack of concrete evidence has led to increased speculation and interpretation of available footage and social media content.
Of doing anything other than mauling Caitlin Clark. Like, they were not out there to play legit defense. They were there to maul Caitlin Clark as much as they possibly could. And realistically, it worked. It worked. Like, it wasn't even like a lot of the stuff was a couple of off-ball fouls, but there were quite a few. There were quite a few situations where it was from behind. So you saw pictures like this. They literally had.
Future developments will likely depend on how the organization addresses these concerns and whether any concrete evidence emerges to support the various claims circulating online. The team's continued performance and internal dynamics will remain.
Had two hands on the back of Caitlin Clark's jersey. So if any time Caitlin tried to move, it was two hands on her back. She couldn't move off the ball. She was being hacked off the ball, and the referees allow contact with guards off the ball, which they shouldn't. They allow way, way too much contact with guards off the ball. And if we're being honest, like, it's something that shouldn't be happening, but it is. And it is extremely, extremely frustrating. But at the end of the day, look, we have to.
Many fail to recognize Canada's exceptional defensive capabilities. Clark was systematically defeating Canada's positioning. Canada struggled to maintain proper defensive stance against her. This represents a significant development because when defensive positioning breaks down, it opens opportunities for the entire offensive unit. Multiple secondary assists occurred. Quality ball circulation emerged. Numerous encouraging elements materialized regarding Clark's performance. Positive aspects deserve recognition during successful performances, just as negative elements require discussion during poor showings. The examination includes how Atlanta effectively limited Clark's influence during the opening half. Despite Clark recording 5 first-half assists, Atlanta managed to minimize her overall game impact during those initial 24 minutes. During the subsequent half, regardless of statistical output, Clark completely dominated proceeding.
We have to, you have to know that that's here being refereed, and you got to adjust. And in the second half, it was Caitlin on the ball, and they could not live with Caitlin on the ball. So Ryan Howard, who had previously guarded Caitlin on the ball, was suffering from some sort of a knee injury. She could not really keep up with Caitlin, and they went with Jordan Canada, all defensive Jordan Canada, and Caitlin burned Jordan Canada off every single pick and roll. In the third quarter, we were watching
Atlanta's primary method for neutralizing Clark possibly reflected coaching decisions as much as anything else. They employed excessive physical contact. Atlanta utilized aggressive hand-checking early in the contest. They maintained continuous contact with both hands. Their approach involved extensive grabbing without concern for consequences. Their objective centered on physical intimidation. They demonstrated zero interest in pursuing anything beyond mauling Clark. Their defensive approach avoided legitimate basketball defense, focusing instead on maximum physical disruption of Clark's movement. This strategy proved effective initially. Much of the contact occurred away from the ball, with several instances involving contact from behind. Photographic evidence shows Atlanta players literally placing both hands on Clark's jersey back. Whenever Clark attempted movement, dual hand contact on her back prevented proper positioning. Off-ball contact consistently occurred, despite referees permitting excessive guard contact away from the ball when such contact shouldn't be allowed. Officials tolerate far too much off-ball contact with guards. This situation creates significant frustration.
Quarter, we were watching Caitlin Clark basically go and free up Aaliyah Boston every time, but Aaliyah Boston wasn't really rolling. It was really only in the fourth quarter when Natasha Howard was off the floor, and like Natasha Howard just allows Caitlin Clark to be guarded. And if you saw on those screens, the Atlanta Dream didn't blitz screens at all, really. Like, their main tactic was not to blitz screens.
Understanding officiating tendencies requires strategic adjustments. During the second half, Clark operated primarily with ball possession. Atlanta couldn't manage Clark's on-ball activities. Ryan Howard, who previously defended Clark on ball, suffered knee injury complications that prevented keeping pace with Clark. Atlanta switched to Jordan Canada for defensive assignments. All defensive team member Canada faced repeated defeats from Clark during every pick-and-roll sequence. Throughout the third period, Clark consistently created opportunities for Aaliyah Boston, though Boston failed to capitalize on rolling opportunities. Only during the fourth quarter, with Natasha Howard absent from the floor, did situations improve. Howard's presence typically complicates Clark's offensive responsibility.
Was not the blitz screens. And they were not out here making that their focus. But what they were doing was they were trying to turn Caitlin Clark into a scorer. They were trying to stop her being a passer, and it just didn't work. They were putting her in single coverage. They were allowing her to get to the basket. And it wasn't necessarily that Caitlin as an individual killed them, because I don't think Caitlin as an individual killed them. It was what Caitlin was able to free up for everything else. So
Atlanta avoided aggressive screen coverage throughout the contest. Their primary tactical approach avoided blitzing screens, showing little emphasis on this defensive concept. Instead, they attempted converting Clark into a scorer rather than facilitator, employing single coverage while allowing basket penetration. Clark's individual scoring didn't necessarily devastate Atlanta, but her ability to create opportunities for teammates proved decisive. Atlanta maintained heavy focus on Clark during off-ball situations. When Clark participated in off-foul actions, Atlanta's attention remained fixated on her positioning while accepting other players' offensive success. They tolerated Kelsey Mitchell's scoring while maintaining physical defensive approaches.
it was what Caitlin was able to free up for everything else. So they were very focused off the ball on Caitlin. So when Caitlin was in off-the-ball actions, they were worried about Caitlin. They were okay with anyone else cooking them. They were okay with Kelsey Mitchell cooking them. And they were just being physical. And do you want to know what the best way to beat physicality is? Run. Run. Like, that is the best way you can beat physicality in basketball. And I think a lot of people think you have to get more physical to beat physical. And
the optimal method for defeating physicality involves speed and movement. Running past physical defense proves more effective than matching physicality with increased aggression. Indiana implemented this approach during the second half against Atlanta for the first time. Atlanta typically drags opponents down to their preferred physical style. Howard possesses size, strength, and speed. Alicia Gray brings similar physical attributes. Canada demonstrates tenacious defensive instincts. Clark effectively shut down Canada during the second half completely. Another breakdown could examine how coaching decisions during the first half nearly cost Indiana the victory. Indiana was fortunate not to trail by 15 points at halftime through circumstantial shot making while leaving Canada undefended. Canada's defensive reputation, combined with Brittany Griner and Bria Jones' toughness and Naz Hillman's bench contributions, provides Atlanta with solid personnel, systematic approaches, and multiple positive elements.